Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Budget Reply watch party. And today I'm accompanied with Aussies Elect, where we're going to be roasting and just vibing, watching Angus Taylor present probably one of the worst budget replies that we've seen in Australian history. But who knows?
Well, I just don't think Angus Taylor is much of a performer in general. So
Yeah,
I always thought that when he became leader, it sort of signaled the end for the Liberal Party. I mean, we'll see, but you know.
I thought the end of the Liberal Party was when Tim Wilson was singing that song, and then I could just see Andrew Hastie's eyes. He just saw the Liberal Party die.
Wait, I missed this. Like, what song was Tim Wilson singing?
I don't remember what it was called. It's a classic. It was funny as hell.
Well, I expect this budget to be very negative, to not really offer anything interesting in response. We'll probably just get some rehash. If we get any policies, they'll just be rehashed policy ideas and to not really offer calls to cut immigration. Just nothing really nothing interesting. And what I've said about the budget is that I feel like it's probably best if they take a sort of a more nuanced approach to the budget. Keep some of the things that are popular, maybe change some of the things that are a little bit less popular. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just going to try to block everything.
Yeah.
So,
Nook
and
Cranny. See many policies going ahead.
Nook and Cranny says Heath is full mouse volume. Lol.
So am I too loud?
Maybe your mouse is making a lot of noises. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
We need to add like a noise gate to stop the noise.
Maybe you have a pet mouse in your room and it's squeaking really loudly.
No. Let me just fix that.
So are you going to be streaming the actual like ABC or
yes,
are you just going to? What did you say? Sorry.
I've got that set up.
Ah, sweet. Okay, all right. So I'll just watch the budget through your stream. I think.
Cool. Yeah.
Wake up. He's quiet. Who's quiet? Is it me that's quiet or Heath that's quiet?
Issues with the audio, man. Always issues. Let me fix this.
Is it me? It's always hard to get this right. When there's two people speaking.
How's that?
Yes, tell us in the chat if somebody is quiet compared to somebody else.
Yeah, because we learned that last time.
I told Heath earlier his mic was quiet.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is. Let me just turn it all the way up. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds better. I mean, at least from my end, that sounds better.
Let me hear it through the stream.
Yeah, his mic was quiet.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue is. Let me just turn it all the way up. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds better. I mean, at least from my end.
Tell us in the chat.
Oh my god! Yeah, you were definitely. I was definitely louder than you. Holy crap!
Yeah, all the way up. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds better. I mean, at least from my end. That's a nice picture you have of yourself. Yeah, you were definitely. I was definitely louder than you.
It's from a musical.
Very cool. Very cool. What was the musical about?
It was Mamma Mia.
Oh, I think you told me about that before, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the best photo I've ever got, sadly. Wish there was more.
I fucking hate taking photos of myself. Yeah. Like one day I'll get on camera. I mean, I'm not completely allergic to being on camera. I've been on camera a couple of times for this stuff, but I really don't like being on camera. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Anyways, I feel like with this budget, there's not going to be new policies. Like, I think they're going to mention housing, of course, immigration, but apart from that, nothing else. They're just going to repeat those 2 points.
Do you want to show the viewers your bingo card?
I can download it and then I can create a thing to show. Yeah,
so he's made a 4x4 bingo card because I mean, we're both sort of clueless about what to put on here other than just like things like...
Well, it's like, what else is there? Because I don't know, no substance probably.
Yeah, wrote liberal lines like spending addiction. Yeah. Like Heath can give me, and a lot of people can give me crap of how critical I was of the government's budget, but like I'm expecting even less from the opposition. I expect
at the end of the day, you're going to choose Labor over Liberal.
They're not going to offer anything. Like it's
there's no alternative. And that's what I'm interested to see this budget replies. It might be the first in a long time that there actually is no alternative.
Like Tim Wilson was on Twitter complaining about the 30% minimum. Look, I get it. I get what they're going for. They're trying to really crack down on all these people minimizing tax when they have like a lot of assets, right? like typically older people who they have like a crap ton of assets, but then they're also getting a little bit of income on the side for shares and stuff. I get it. I get the point of it, right? And Tim Wilson, I guess it's fair for him to call that out. But like the fact that they're just deciding to block everything and not having some kind of like middle ground.
Yeah.
Disappointing. It's very disappointing.
Yes, it is.
And I think someone like Andrew Hastie as leader would be a little bit more sort of cooperative, but they're worried about losing votes to One Nation, I guess. That's the main thing. They want to be purists because they think that otherwise One Nation's going to murder them in the polls.
Yes.
In Minecraft, I should say. Not in real life.
No, that's all right.
Should I say what's on the bingo card if you can't get it up?
Yeah, I can get it up.
You got things like, well, you've got wasteful / NDIS. Of course, he's going to mention the NDIS.
Yeah.
Criminal. Like he'll talk about like the criminals in the CFMEU and in the NDIS, all giving money to criminals. Taking non-citizens off Social Security will save like $2 and encourage unregulated employment. Well, yeah, I mean it's very sort of populist, not giving welfare to permanent residents. Very populist approach. Obviously, no permanent residents are voting, so I guess they're not a voting bloc. So I guess that's the argument around that. But I think obviously what people want is just a large cut to immigration, and Angus Taylor is not offering that. Like he's just said we got to have people coming in with Australian values and people not from bad countries. He doesn't specify what exactly that means. There you go. There's the bingo card. Oh wow, you got like that. Like that's so much cooler of an interface than what I had, which was just me going on MS Paint and then clicking save.
Yeah, you can actually do stuff with it. I just did browser capture on it. I might add it to the other ones as well. I'll just keep an eye on the ABC stream.
Very
ABC's
cool.
on standby. Nothing yet.
No new policies asterisk. What does that mean? Like
basically nothing that isn't. If there's nothing else apart from housing and immigration mentioned, I would say that's no new policies because the coalition's basically already mentioned what they're going to say tonight on those two things.
Yeah. Well, actually, no, I haven't heard what they're going to say apart from we're blocking everything. And
yeah,
look, I'm sort of I feel like I'm going into this sort of semi-blind. When you watch a movie and you haven't seen a trailer or anything. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
With this, yeah, I don't know what to expect, but I don't expect anything worthwhile. Don't diss MS Paint, bro. I love MS Paint. I still use it.
Yeah.
I grew up with that shit, and it's still lovely.
Yep.
Did everyone see the Morgan poll today? Very fun.
It was kind of cooked.
Yeah. Well, we've learned not to trust the Morgan polls, so. Yep.
I'm going to add the bingo on the stream, the ABC stream, so we'll be able to update it in real time. Oh,
We don't like to make a fuss, but BritBox has gotten bigger than ever.
You can't be serious.
With even more of your favourites streaming before anywhere else.
Amazing.
Dad? But let's not make a scene. BritBox. Always better, now bigger.
Maybe like go to that restaurant. Well, it's gonna be you and me. We're gonna
waiting for the BritBox ad to go in.
It's a shame it just doesn't skip through. I think I went through it early. Oh well. I've been sorry guys for blasting with that.
It's in the House of Representatives. On Tuesday, Treasurer Jim Chalmers unveiled sweeping changes, breaking election promises. That he has what it takes to take it to the Labor government. Let's now hear from Angus Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To Australians watching, thank you for your time. Tonight, I want to tell you about my vision for a fairer, freer and better Australia for all. An Australia where life is affordable. An Australia where we have cheap and abundant energy. An Australia where industries thrive and businesses boom. An Australia where we innovate, make and build things of ambition and farm, mine and drill with determination. Yeah. An Australia where a single income earner on an ordinary wage has enough for a home deposit and to pay off a mortgage steadily over time. An Australia where a mum or dad can afford to take time away from work to do the most worthwhile thing in life, raise a child. Yeah. An Australia where those we welcome to our shores are all determined to embrace our values, to work hard, to contribute to this nation, to become Australian. An Australia where we have confidence in our nation's future. An Australia where we have hope and optimism. This isn't the Australia we know today. But we have known it, and we can know it again. Yeah. We can restore our standard of living, and we can protect our way of life. Now, that starts by fighting against the assault on aspiration at the heart of Labor's budget. Yeah. Labor is locking out young Australians from the opportunities afforded to older Australians to build wealth and prosperity and to get ahead. Yeah. This Prime Minister is one of many Australians who has benefited from these opportunities. Now he's pulling up the ladder of opportunity for the next generation. Not only by whacking higher taxes on housing, but also on their savings, investments and small businesses. When government whacks a tax on something, you get less of it. Less housing, less savings, less investment and less small business for the next generation. Labor's budget isn't intergenerational fairness, it's intergenerational fraud. Yeah. Their budget is also an attack on every Australian. As Labor's own budget papers state, its tax hikes will reduce the number of houses available for young Australians to buy or to rent. Labor's negative gearing changes will hand over housing investment to multinationals and foreign pension funds. Labor's increase to the capital gains tax will discourage the investment Australia needs to grow. And Labor's small business tax will punish small and family businesses that are already working harder than ever and collapsing at record rates. The Treasurer's higher taxes aren't economic reform. They're an assault on aspiration. They're an attack on the wealth creation that benefits all. They will crush the reward for hard work spirit that underpins our nation's success. And so the Coalition will fight like hell to prevent Labor's toxic taxes from becoming law. But if they do, I commit that a coalition government I lead will repeal them. Now, there's a simple reason why Labor has broken its core election promises. This incompetent government has lost control of its spending. When Labor runs out of its money, it comes after yours. Intergenerational theft isn't caused by older Australians. It's been caused by the Albanese government. Labor's reckless spending will soon see our country with $1 trillion of debt. The only way to get debt down is to throw out this bad government. Now, to know a fairer, freer and better Australia, we also need something that's been missing for too long, and that's honesty. Honesty about what's holding Australia back and leaving Australians behind. First, mass migration is changing Australia for the worse. The number of people coming in far exceeds the number of houses built. Consequently, the great Australian dream of home ownership is vanishing for old and new Australians alike. Across its 2 terms, Labor will have brought in 2 million people. That includes 90,000 more than planned in the next 2 years. By inviting in too many people too quickly, we've also seen some come with the wrong values. People who don't want to join and embrace Australia, but people who want to change Australia to suit them. We saw this with the Bondi tragedy, inspired by radical and violent Islam. Second, prioritising net zero and emissions reduction above all else has seen cheap, always-on power dismissed for expensive, sometimes-on, industrial-scale renewables, mainly sourced from offshore. Power prices have soared, causing households to struggle, businesses to close, and industries to move offshore. Far from a future made in Australia, our future is being made abroad. Australians have been fed the lie that our economy can function on solar, wind and batteries alone. But the truth is, fossil fuels continue to drive our economy and our prosperity. In this budget alone, Labor has $18 billion in new net zero spending. Labor's net zero obsession is driving up inflation and destroying our economy. And that's why net zero must go. Yeah. Third, all Australians prosper from having access to international markets. But blind faith in globalisation has hollowed out our vital industries and made our country vulnerable. We're too dependent on other countries for critical supplies for jet fuel, diesel and fertiliser. And yet we have an abundance of resources beneath our feet. We could be self-sufficient and reindustrialise in key areas if we stop locking up our resources and turbocharged digging and drilling. Yeah. Fourth, during the pandemic, many Australians were reliant on government. But that crisis fed the mistaken belief that bigger government is the solution to every problem. Anthony Albanese promised that you would be better off under a big Labor government. But big government hasn't led to better government or Australians being better off. Government-led housing programs have seen 30,000 fewer homes built each year. 30,000 fewer each year. Government-led industry policy has seen billions wasted on pie-in-the-sky schemes like green hydrogen. Government-led childcare for all has caused costs to rise by 14%. And government-led energy policy and pushing out gas and coal generation has caused power prices to surge by 40%. Labor's reckless spending has caused inflation to soar. Contrary to Labor's spin, inflation was rising long before the conflict in Iran. Under Labor, interest rates have gone up 15 times. And Australia has experienced the worst collapse in living standards in the developed world. Moreover, under Labor, economic growth is an illusion. Every single dollar of growth has been due to population growth, mostly immigration. Every single dollar. Labor remains committed to the follies of mass migration, net zero, locking up our resources and big government. We need to reject these bad ideas to bring about a fairer, freer and better Australia. Yeah. Now, my life has taken me from the family farm, sheepyards and shearing shed, to small business, to factory floors, to boardrooms, to this parliament. I've seen everyday Aussie men and women who make, build, fix, create, contribute and care. And I've seen big government, big unions and big business who direct, influence, accumulate power and seek to control the lives of others. Our nation is at its very best when everyday Aussies are empowered. Yeah. My ambition for this country is to revive the freedom that Australians have lost under Labor. Not a government-directed economy, a free enterprise economy. Not bigger government, but better government. Better government that gets the big things right, gets off Australians' backs and puts its faith back in you. To that end, a coalition government under my leadership will axe Labor's toxic taxes, end Labor's mass immigration and scrap Labor's net zero policies. Yeah. When we restore and expand our choices, we can begin to restore our standard of living and protect our way of life. Now, Mr Speaker, to lower inflation, interest rates and the cost of living, we must reduce government spending. Labor has driven it to a 40-year high outside of the pandemic. We will work with the government to make its National Disability Insurance Scheme sustainable. Yet Labor lacks any real resolve to rein in its reckless ways. And unlike Labor, the coalition will get spending under control and save billions. We will abolish Labor's climate bureaucracy, its net zero agency, its power lines to nowhere, and its tax on the family car and ute. Yeah. We will end tax breaks for electric vehicles, which are overwhelmingly going to high-income Australians. We'll terminate Labor's corporate welfare, like sending money to foreign tech companies that don't deliver. We'll scrap Labor's housing bureaucracy, the ineffective Housing Australia Future Fund and its build-to-rent tax breaks for multinationals. We'll remove Labor's handouts for non-citizens. Many Australians would be surprised to learn that non-citizens are eligible for welfare in this country. We've already announced that the first home buyer 5% deposit scheme will be reserved for Australian citizens only. Yeah. That's because Labor has allowed some 50,000 non-citizens to access this scheme. Moreover, this government is funding welfare for non-citizens as soon as they arrive on our soil. Yet it has cut the private health insurance rebate for Australians over 65 and slashed $600 million for our veterans. Labor puts Australians second, whereas the coalition will always put Australians first. Yeah. Tonight, I announced that a coalition government will reserve the NDIS and 17 different welfare programs, including JobSeeker, Youth Allowance and the Family Tax Benefit, for Australian citizens only, and save taxpayers billions. Yeah. My message is this: if you commit to Australia, Australia will commit to you. After all, the taxes paid by hard-working Australians should support Australians. Australians know that revenue from booming iron ore, gas and coal prices go a long way. For instance, revenues can help to build more houses and stronger communities, as well as the long-term infrastructure in cities and regions that we need, like the Inland Rail that's been axed by Labor. Revenues can help to pay down debt too. Since Labor came to office, they've received almost $500 billion in commodity revenue upgrades, mostly driven by higher resource prices. This year alone, iron ore prices have averaged more than $100 a tonne US, but this budget assumes they return just $60 a tonne. Instead of paying down debt and building our nation, Labor has squandered resource profits with its self-indulgent spending. In contrast, the coalition will not neglect our responsibility to our children and grandchildren. Where resource tax revenues are higher than forecast, we will bank 80 cents in every dollar into a future generation fund. Yeah. This fund will help to pay down Labor's $1 trillion of debt. Yeah. It will help to invest in nation-building infrastructure. 25% of funding will be for our regions that have been neglected by Labor. Yeah. Regions that are home to the natural resources we all benefit from. Mr. Speaker, in my career I've worked across agriculture, energy, resources and infrastructure sectors. I've helped small and large businesses to grow. I know what makes an economy tick and what Australia needs to grow and to thrive. Government doesn't grow the economy, private enterprise does. Yeah. Tonight, I begin to outline how the Coalition will restore Australian prosperity. It starts with driving investment. Investment lifts the economy's speed limit. It drives up jobs, real wages and real income. And it strengthens the budget to pay for the safety net and to pay down debt. Investment is a vote of confidence in our country with compounding benefits. For example, when a builder invests in a ute, he can do more jobs, take on a new apprentice, grow his business and service more of his community. To lift confidence in our country and encourage business investment, tonight I announce an important down payment, the first of many. We will allow any business with a turnover of less than $10 million to immediately deduct assets of up to $50,000 on a permanent basis. Yeah. To boost investment, we also need to free the economy from the government's chains. Laws are too complex and obstruct enterprise. A coalition government will rewrite and simplify the legislative rulebook, including the Corporations Act, Tax Act, Competition Act, National Construction Code and Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. Yeah. Take the Construction Code as one example. Labor has expanded it to more than 2,000 pages. The code's thousands of rules add tens of thousands of dollars to new housing bills. We want the code to be closer to 200 pages. And we will go further. Regulatory bodies created by government set rules and enforce laws, and that's important. But under Labor, these regulators have become bigger, more powerful and overbearing. They're regulating for regulation's sake. They need to get out of the way. Yeah. A coalition government will impose new responsibilities on regulators by law. We'll require regulators to act in a way that encourages competition, nurtures investment, increases productivity, boosts wages and grows the economy. The Coalition will also abolish Labor's great big carbon tax, the so-called safeguard mechanism. Yeah. This tax jacks up the price on essential building materials like steel, cement and glass, driving up the cost of a new home. That's right. It also undermines investment in key industries and hastens them going offshore. Indeed, we'll abolish Labor's crippling net zero carbon taxes wherever we find them, on mining, manufacturing, electricity, vehicles and imports. Now, just as I want more investment in Australia, I want Australians to keep more of their income. If you're feeling poorer under this government, it's because you are. Labor is stealing from you with inflation. The Treasurer says inflation will reach 5% next month. People see Labor's inflation steal from them in higher grocery prices, power bills, mortgage repayments and other cost of living expenses. But Labor is stealing from Australians in another way. Year after year, without new laws, without an election, and without you even noticing until you look at your bank account. When your wages rise just to keep up with inflation, you're no better off. But you pay higher taxes as though you are better off. More of your income goes into a higher tax bracket. This is bracket creep. And it's why you feel poorer. The higher Labor's inflation goes and the longer it lasts, the more the government takes from you. This is a stealth raid on Australians working hard to get ahead. Labor's promising that your real wages will finally go up. But Labor's plan is to tax away all of workers' real wage gains. Living standards go nowhere. A typical worker on $70,000 a year will see their entire real wage gains taxed away. The worst thing about this tax is that it keeps going up and keeps taking more each year forever. Under a coalition government I lead, this will end. Yeah. Tonight, I announce our tax-back guarantee. From 2028-29, we will index the bottom two income tax thresholds to inflation. Yeah. That will fully protect 85% of income earners with relief of around $2.50 in year one for a typical worker, growing to more than $1,000 a year in year four. From 2031-32, we will index the top two tax thresholds as well. That will fully protect all income earners from inflation. Yeah. This is generational tax reform. Yeah. It's fair, it's simple and it's honest. It will back Australians to work hard, take risks, invest in their future and invest in our country's future. It will force government to respect your money. Any government that wants to tax Australians more should have the courage to front up and take that tax increase to an election. Yeah. Under Labor, Australians work harder, pay more and fall behind. Under the Coalition, Australians will be rewarded, keep more and get ahead. Yeah. From my first day as opposition leader, I said I wanted to re-establish home ownership as the centrepiece of the Australian dream. My goal is more houses for Australians and a fairer go for young Australians. A coalition government will get stalled housing projects moving again. We will invest $5 billion in supporting infrastructure like roads, water, power and sewerage. With this support, we will unlock 400,000 new homes for Australians. As I said, we will cut red tape, which will take up to $70,000 off the cost of a new home. But the biggest problem with access to housing is that under Labor, immigration numbers are too high. With Labor having opened the migration floodgates, the dream of home ownership has become a nightmare for so many Australians. Since Labor was elected, it has brought in a record 1.4 million people, about the population of Adelaide. That number accounts for 80% of our population growth over the same period, and that's why there's a shortfall of homes for about 400,000 people. Australians are deeply concerned about the scale and pace of immigration on housing, infrastructure and services. And that includes migrants themselves, who have become Australians. Tonight, I announce a far-reaching and unprecedented housing policy. It's also an immigration policy that puts Australians first. A coalition will cap immigration numbers based on the number of homes constructed each year. Never again will a government be able to bring in more people than our housing can support. That's our commitment. That's our commitment. I also stress this point. Given the magnitude of people coming in under Labor, immigration will need to be significantly below our cap in the first few years of a coalition government. We must allow the housing market to catch up. Only closer to the election can we provide a precise immigration number. It would be rash to do so now because Labor always exceeds its immigration targets. And it will do so again, Mr Speaker. By the next election, the situation could be even worse than it is today. But this much I promise. The Coalition will deliver one of the biggest cuts to immigration in the history of this country. Our immigration cut will complement our plan to lift immigration standards. We will make the existing Australian values statement an enforceable visa condition. We'll make it an obligation, not an option, for permanent visa holders to learn English. We'll enhance screening to stop radicals from entering our borders. We'll curtail frivolous protection claims by restoring temporary protection visas and establishing a list of safe countries deemed free from persecution. And we will process and deport 70,000 overstayers who have no legal right to stay. Those who criticise the law being enforced must explain why their sympathies lie with illegal overstayers instead of with migrants and Australians who abide by the law. In a dangerous world of coercion, crises and conflict, we need to address threats and risks comprehensively and get serious about our self-reliance. Tonight, I announced that a coalition government will develop a national security strategy and appoint a dedicated national security advisor. Central to that strategy will be defence. Unlike Labor, with its accounting trickery, the coalition will commit to spending at least 3% of GDP on defence. That is what is needed to bolster our ranks of warfighters in this country, to harden our bases, to deliver AUKUS, to build offensive and defensive drones and missiles at speed and scale in an age where such weapons are essential to deter a larger adversary. Energy security will also be a priority in this new strategy. While renewables have a role in our energy mix, especially rooftop solar and home batteries, they aren't a rapid replacement for fossil fuels. Fossil fuels still deliver most of our energy needs. Australia isn't undergoing a rapid, pain-free energy transition as Labor pretends. Australia's energy security requires energy abundance. That's the Coalition's goal. So tonight I announced that a Coalition government will work with coal-fired power plant owners to keep them running as long and as hard as possible to get electricity prices down. On fuel, the Coalition has said we will double our minimum reserves of petrol, diesel and jet fuel to put our total reserves within reach of 90 days. We will also invest $800 million for new fuel storage to give us 1 billion litres of additional capacity. To incentivise more refining capacity, we'll make the Fuel Security Services payment available to companies who can build new refineries. This includes refining of non-conventional fuels, like biofuels and coal-to-liquids. Ultimately, we want decades of fuel reserves and much more energy. We can achieve that by getting Australian resources out of the ground. More Australian gas working hard for Australians. More Australian oil working hard for Australians. To dig and drill, the Coalition will remove obstacles. As I said earlier, we will abolish Labor's hidden carbon taxes, like the safeguard mechanism. And we will rewrite Labor's anti-development environmental laws to speed up approvals. We're also going to unlock critical gas and oil projects. We will create, under law, national strategic priority projects. 2 nation-building projects will be immediately designated by a coalition government. The Browse Basin offshore gas field in Western Australia and the Taroom oil field in Queensland. Yeah. The Commonwealth will get out of the way so the states can get projects going. The Coalition will also put an end to the green energy rent-seeking. We will back any technologies that can deliver affordable and reliable energy in this country. That includes coal, gas, hydro, batteries and renewables in the right places, and it will include nuclear power too. We will lift the ban. Yeah. To Australians watching tonight, I know you're struggling on many fronts. I know you're apprehensive about yours and your children's future. I know you're worried about the state of our cherished country. But decline isn't inevitable. Damage isn't irreparable. Difficulty isn't insurmountable. We can restore our standard of living. We can protect our way of life. I'm not under any misapprehension. There's much work the Coalition must do to win your confidence. But with the policies I've announced tonight and the vision I've outlined, I hope you can begin to believe again. Believe in our promise of better government. Believe in the prospect of a fairer, freer and better Australia. That Australia is worth fighting for, now more than ever. And the fight starts tonight. Yeah.
Welcome back. That was the Opposition Leader Angus Taylor giving his reply to the Albanese government's 5th budget. The Opposition Leader will join me shortly. He's just on his way up from the chamber. But first, political editor Jacob Grieber and former Liberal MP Keith Wallahan are here for their reactions. Welcome, Keith, but I'll start with Jacob. A hugely consequential moment for Angus Taylor. Who is that speech directed at?
Yeah, so the fight starts now is how he finished that speech. The question is he throwing punches that land or is he throwing haymakers? There are 2 big, I think, targets. One of them is One Nation, and we heard a lot about the immigration policies that he wants to adopt, throw 70,000 people out of the country and go very, very hard into a new realm, which is targeting folks who are permanent residents but still get 17 categories of welfare. That's number one. Number 2 is on this big move to index the income tax thresholds. That breaks 40 years or more of bipartisanship on this issue. And it shines a big spotlight onto what is the sleight of hand that sits under so much budgeting. But it's also an extraordinary fiscal straitjacket that he's putting on. It costs a lot of money, and he's going to have to find a lot of money to pay for it.
Let me bring in Keith Wallahan. You were defeated in a heartland Liberal seat. Listening to that speech, is that a leader who makes you want to come back into Parliament to win a seat and serve alongside?
I thought that was an excellent speech, and the greatest honour of my life was serving in the Parliament. We'll wait and see whether I can and would run again, and that's for the people of Australia to decide who represents them in the Parliament. I thought that was a Liberal speech. I thought it was a Liberal speech focused on aspiration and on guardrails for a proportionately sized government. The size of government has become disproportionate in Australia, and so that bold statement on indexing tax, that is a lesson to government to stay within its means. And then to link migration to housing, I think that's sensible, because when you have incentives for government as well as the private sector to improve the lives of Australians, I think those are consistent with Liberal values, they're consistent with aspiration, and they speak to two Australias. At the moment, we see regional Australia have particular concerns and Metro Australia have particular concerns. I thought this budget, in reply speech, spoke to both.
At the same time, the Liberal Party has obviously suffered considerably since you lost your seat, Keith Wallahan. One Nation's on an extraordinary march. The polls that we expect to see, they've been bad. We think they're getting worse. It's a very different party, in a sense, in a different position to the one that you left. What about the efforts in that speech to talk to Liberal voters who are telling pollsters right now that their vote is going with One Nation?
I think if the Liberal Party speaks to mainstream Australia, whether you're regional or metro, and speaks on economics mostly, because that's where people are hurting, then they don't have to speak out of both sides of their mouth. They get to speak to both Australias and bring them together in a unifying way. There is no denying that there has been a massive increase in third-party votes. Massive. It's totally changed since when I was in Parliament. But I think part of that is a distrust in the major parties. And there's an onus on the major parties to not feed into that. And so I think the broken promises from the other night.
What the hell even is that ad? It's like someone zooming into photos of cats. That's so weird.
One issue in Australia, particularly metropolitan Australia. I'm here in Sydney for work. And when you look at birth rates between 2019 and 2024, they dropped by 9.4% in this city. In my home city of Melbourne, they dropped by 8.2%. The housing crisis isn't just material. It is about family, and young Australians, particularly millennials, feel like both parties don't speak to them. That said, I understand that supply is the most important lever. And to the credit of the government and also to Angus Taylor tonight, both offered supply boosting policies. To the policies on tax, of course the government should be hit on the head for breaking a promise. Of course they should. The people always get it right at election, but I can be pretty sure that there would be less seats on the government side if they had put those policies to the people. They lied to the Australian people, and that has broken trust with the Australian people. So Angus Taylor is right to hold them to account for breaking that promise. That said, supply is important, but I also think the mix between investors and those who are looking to buy a home is an issue that matters too. When you look at investment loans in Australia last year, 82% went to existing stock. I think it's a good thing to shift those incentives for new supply.
As Jacob said when he's giving his first reaction to that speech, we've got this very bold move, which is the indexation move on taxation. Now, obviously, governments of both stripes have resisted this for a long time because of the straitjacket that it puts on them. Were you surprised that this was the big rabbit that Angus Taylor pulled out of the hat?
I was pleasantly surprised. That is putting the onus of keeping the budgets responsible on government. What we see is this pantomime that happens decade after decade where both parties, they will increase taxes through a thief in the night, to use the metaphor, where your tax bracket goes up through inflation, and then they say, ta-da, we'll give some of that back to you, and you should feel happy about that. I think this says that this is your money and that it is the government that has to live within its means, and it's a bold thing to do, and I'm really proud that Angus Taylor did it.
Now, just a small point, this was one of the, if there were two centrepieces maybe on immigration and on the indexing of taxes, Angus Taylor didn't quite deliver his line right on that Jacob, he'll be disappointed on that particular line, saying $2.50 instead of $2.50. These are very tough nights. The pressure is on. Is that what we saw?
Look, there was a fumble there, and they'll be upset that they can't clip up that piece of the video. He said that when this indexation begins in the first year, it's worth $2.50. It's actually $250 is the number he meant to say. As you say, when the lights are on, it gets tricky. But I think that number is important because it's about the same as the WATO, the Working Australian Tax Offset that was announced. And that grows according to Angus Taylor's office calculation to $1,000. But yeah. That's life in the spotlight.
So, Keith Wallahan, we're very close to wrapping up here, but does watching this speech make you miss it more or miss it less? Just briefly.
I always miss it. I'm enjoying more time with my family, and I really enjoy being a barrister. I'm working on really interesting matters. But there's no greater honour than to serve your country. I got to do it in uniform. I got to do it in the Parliament. I think I'm still young. We'll see what happens in the future.
Keith Wallahan, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We appreciate it. And the opposition leader is just a few minutes away. But first, just a quick look at the response and fallout from the government's budget delivered on Tuesday night as a reminder.
Tonight's federal budget has been promised as the most ambitious but most responsible from the Albanese government.
People will make their own judgment about that, but I genuinely hope that they see that we've had fairness at the centre.
We'll limit negative gearing for residential property to new builds from July next year. And we're replacing the 50% capital gains tax discount with inflation-adjusted indexation.
The government's economic duo spending some political capital.
Election promises taken out with the garbage.
Yes, I acknowledge that the government's come to a different view about some really important policy areas.
The coalition has already vowed to roll the
Well, hello. Are we cutting away from ABC now?
Oh, sorry,
the microphone.
Muted.
Oh, there we go. Hello.
I was thinking to talk about the budget reply because they're just grappling on with a.
I think you got bingo. Because you didn't cross out income tax cuts. But
okay, yeah,
indexing
he didn't mention the speech. But I guess the other guy afterwards clarified. But
yeah. Well, indexing the tax-free
actually, that is kind of a tax cut. That's true. So,
it is.
We got bingo.
It absolutely is.
Let's go.
It's 100% a tax cut. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it will be. Yeah. Well. Yeah. It will be because of inflation. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
I mean, at least there's good popular stuff in there. Like, getting rid of welfare for permanent residents. I'm not going to say it's good policy, but I think it's good populism.
I think it's good for to rein in the One Nation because there's just not enough clear policies with One Nation. They're a bit everywhere. So I think Coalition is doing one good thing here, that they're starting to build this just a small portfolio of Angus Taylor's on. Let me load up.
Oh, he's on. Okay.
Electorates, extinction level according to the polls. Are you laying out your plan tonight to stop their momentum?
No, Sarah, and thank you for having me. I'm laying out our plan for Australia, for our nation, at a time when the standard of living is going backwards. People are deeply worried about the direction of the country. They're deeply worried about their own incomes and their families and their future. And so that's why we've laid out a pathway for a fairer, freer, better Australia, one with lower taxes, one that's not got an assault on aspiration like we see under Labor, but supports aspiration with significant tax cuts, not just getting rid of Labor's toxic taxes, but I think the very worst tax of all, which is the one that goes up every single year because of inflation. And that is a big impost on Australians. It's holding them back. and we will get rid of it. We'll also align immigration with housing, get housing supply up, but make sure immigration numbers are such that we can support them with housing, and we'll make sure that we've got affordable, abundant energy, and we put Australians first. That's the focus.
All right, there are clearly two twin key concerns here. Tax, which we'll come to, on immigration first of all, because we are having this conversation with that cloud of one nation hanging over the Liberal Party. Why the attack on permanent residents in this speech who work and pay tax the same as citizens?
Well, it's about putting Australian citizens first, and that's the duty of a government, to put Australian citizens first. And I think it's extraordinary that at a time like this, the government has cut support for older Australians' private health insurance, and yet there is welfare for non-Australian citizens. Sarah,
just to be clear, these are permanent residents who pay tax and in many cases are waiting to become citizens. So why focus on them?
Well, citizenship is a privilege, and it's something we want people to get something from. If you contribute to this country, we want to contribute back, and that's what citizenship is all about. But when you have a situation where someone can come and get all the benefits without that, it becomes meaningless, Sarah. And the truth is, if you ask Australians whether people can get access to welfare programs without being citizens, they'd say they can't, but they actually are, and it's costing the country a great deal. So this is 17 different programs. There's appropriate exemptions in compassionate circumstances, but importantly, it's saying that we're going to put Australian citizens first, not rip money out of private health insurance for older Australians or veterans.
These measures for migrants, as you say, they are about focusing on the idea of citizenship, pushing people, if you like, towards citizenship. However, for some countries, particularly people from China and India, in order to become Australian citizens, they have to renounce their Indian or Chinese citizenship. And there are grave concerns amongst people in that community that they would lose assets. Now, what's your message to the very large Indian and Chinese diaspora this evening, listening to you saying that you will force them to give up their citizenship if they want to receive any of these welfare benefits? You want them to give up those citizenships and potentially lose their assets. What's your message to them?
We're not forcing anyone to give up anything, Sarah. We're saying that if you want access to the privileges of, which we believe should be privileges of citizenship, you need to become a citizen. So you need to make a choice. It's very simple. And the idea that someone should arrive and the moment they arrive here get access to family tax benefit, for instance, I think for Australians, that's just not on at a time like this when we're really struggling. We were approaching $1 trillion of debt under Labor. Australians are struggling with their own household budgets. We're seeing cutbacks, extra taxes being imposed on housing, on savings, on farmers.
I was asking you to address your answer to that specific group of people, the Chinese and the Indian diasporas, because obviously, at the last election, the Liberal Party suffered significant losses in those communities. They felt there had been intemperate attacks on them. So it makes me wonder how bad the threat must feel from one nation to risk angering those communities again.
Sarah, I welcome those communities who come to this country and want to build businesses and build careers and do things in our country and become Australians. That's the pathway. I mean, I grew up in one of the great immigrant towns of Australia, not far south of here, where we saw thousands of people come to that town, Cooma, after the Second World War, and it was an extraordinary place to grow up. But what it made it so extraordinary was the people who came wanted to be part of our country. They wanted to become Australians. That's the model of immigration and citizenship that I want to see.
The group of people that you're talking about, as I said, these are tax-paying permanent residents, many of whom are waiting to become citizens. They already face a 2 or 4 year waiting period for welfare as things stand. Why do you want to further penalise that group by restricting access to welfare completely?
Sarah, access to citizenship comes after 4 years of being here and only 1 year of permanent residency. This is not a high threshold. So the real issue is this. It's true that
but you are proposing to take welfare away from people in that group at that time, in a period of global competition for skilled migrants. Have you modelled how many skilled migrants might leave Australia because of the conditions you want to create?
Well, Sarah, there's always a long queue of people wanting to come to this country. It's because it's, I believe, the greatest country on earth. But if people come to this country in order to receive welfare in the first couple of years of being here, perhaps that's not an appropriate circumstance.
When you say in order to, are you suggesting they come here to get the welfare?
But at the end of the day, Sarah, it's appropriate that people come here, spend some time and become a citizen over time, and then they get access to the privileges of citizenship. That's how most countries in the world work. It's completely appropriate that we should do the same. And this is, look, the extraordinary thing about this is how many Australians have said to me in recent weeks, as I've been talking to people about this, I had no idea that non-citizens could get access to 17 of these welfare programs soon after they arrive in the country. Now, we have a very generous welfare system in this country, a very generous safety net, social safety net, and that's appropriate. But it's also appropriate
to take it away from permanent residents who are planning lives, careers, families in Australia, contributing to Australia.
We are not taking anything away from anyone, Sarah. This will be grandfathered. We've been very clear about that. So that's actually incorrect. It is grandfathered. And once you become a citizen, you get full access to those programs.
You've promised one of the biggest cuts to immigration in Australia's history was the language that you used. A statement as bold as that demands a number.
Sure.
What's your number?
Well, what you will see from our number is a cut of more than 70% since the peak under Labor.
That's
more than 40%.
That's 150,000. Is that your number?
Can I answer the question?
Please.
I'm trying. 40% on the current level. And the truth is the right number will depend on how many houses get built. I mean, this is the whole problem. This government thought that they could pick the right number without knowing how many houses that were going to get built. And the truth is, not enough houses have been built for the numbers they set.
We're talking about a statement that you made in your speech tonight, and I say that having asked you a couple of questions about One Nation. One of the biggest cuts to immigration in Australia's history. As I said, a statement as bold as that requires a number to be put next to it. Otherwise, it's a slogan. Your maths on the numbers you just referred to is 150,000. Is that your planned net overseas migration number?
Sarah, I've given you those numbers, and I don't know who's done those calculations for you. But the truth
is, saying that's wrong?
The truth is that we had immigration at 550,000 under this government. 550,000. Before that, well, that's where it peaked. And so we need to get down to a number.
With settings, we've discussed this before, those were settings put in place by your government.
This is the sort of nonsense this government...
This is a question about numbers.
I'd really like to finish, Sarah.
Yes.
This is nonsense.
I'd like you to answer the question about numbers.
I will, and I'm answering the question, but you've just got to give me a go to answer it. This is complete nonsense you hear from this government. Absolute, utter nonsense. They were the government, and the peak got to 550,000 people. There is no way in this country that houses could support that number. The two numbers have to be linked. And so what we're proposing is each year the housing minister would say we've got this many houses available, and so the right number, or the cap, should be an appropriate number to suit that. Now, we know already, based on what we are seeing, that number is likely to be 70% down from the peak, roughly 40% down from where we are now. And I've said, we've got some catch-up to do too, because frankly what's happened is Labor has failed so miserably on their housing targets and been so far above their immigration targets that we've got to get catch-up.
Right,
this will allow young Australians to get into a home, Sarah, and that is the most important objective we have here.
I'd like to note you've made a big statement in your speech. You're not prepared to back it up with numbers, even though you know...
I've just given you the numbers.
Well, you haven't given me the final.
Well, Sarah, I've said what the number will be. It will be based on the number of houses that are built. Now, I'll ask you, well, if I may, how many houses will Labor build in a couple of years' time? If I was to guess...
You can put those questions to Labor. Let me ask you a different question. Let's move on. If you're going to make a very substantial cut, which you have signalled very clearly in your speech tonight, and on the numbers that you have given me, we're calculating that at about 150,000 as your total number. So you only have a small number of levers available to you to cut the net overseas migration number. Cutting international students, working holiday visas, which the Nationals oppose, and New Zealanders. So which of those levers are you going to pull to make a massive cut in immigration?
Well, Sarah, as I said, we'll give a number in the lead up to the next election.
This is about...
I've given the principle... Well, if I can finish, I've given you a very clear principle. It will be a very substantial reduction because there is no way that the government is going to get their housing completions up to a level that's going to give a bigger number than that.
This is a
It will be, if I may answer, it will be below 200,000. There's no doubt about that. And then the right mix will depend on the circumstances at the time. What is clear is that the number of students in this country has been at record levels. This government lost control of that situation.
So you will be targeting international students.
I'm just saying that that's one area that is obvious for us to look at. There's no question about it.
Will you exclude working holiday visas?
Well, as I say, the number of temporary visas has increased dramatically under this government, and that's been part of the housing crisis.
So working holiday visas are also on the table?
I'm saying temporary visas obviously is a big part of the explosion.
Does that include working holiday visas?
Well, as I say, Sarah, we will lay out the individual visa numbers as we get close to the election. The process we have laid out is that as we see the housing completions, we'll set a cap, and then the visa numbers will fit within that cap.
How do you put a hard cap on net overseas migration when it includes Australian citizens who are free to come and go?
Well, you can make reasonable predictions about what those things are going to be, Sarah.
So if you can forecast, so if you can forecast, then you probably already have in your head some idea of how those numbers are going to break down.
Well, Sarah, what we don't know is how many houses we're going to get. And what I do know about this government is they've completely failed to reach their housing targets time and time again. So we will see what they deliver on that. They're sitting on around 170,000 now. That's well below the numbers that we saw when we were in government. They have completely failed to meet their own housing targets. We're on about 70,000 houses a year less than they should be getting to on their own targets, and we'll see how that plays out over the next couple of years. But I tell you one thing I'm not going to do. I am not going to allow the net overseas migration get to a number which is beyond the housing we have in this country.
I want to move on to tax indexation, noting that we don't have any numbers from you after that bold statement. But on tax indexation, this is a big move. This is something that tax experts around the country have wanted for a very long time. No side of politics has wanted to do this. You've decided to do it. So what will it cost the budget's bottom line over those 4 years?
Well, the biggest thing is what it's going to cost hardworking Australians. So I do want to start here because this is important. What you will see from bracket creep is in the first year, $250 at the target inflation rate, 2.5%.
Just on that, are you going to, would you repeal the WATO, the new tax that the government's brought in?
We've said we'll support. We'll support that initiative. We've said that, but the fact of the matter is it goes from $250 for a typical earner, someone on about $70,000, $500, $750, $1,000. This is the thief in the night, Sarah. This is actually how Labor generates revenues. It raises taxes on people, and the higher inflation goes, the higher the number. Those numbers double if inflation's sitting at the current level at 5%. So it is true that there is a cost to that.
And
that's absolutely right.
And what is that cost?
Well, you know, it will depend on the inflation rate. And here we go into the same problem.
What do you forecast? You can give me a figure with some plus and minus in it. What do you forecast that number to be?
Well, the inflation rate right now is running at double the target inflation rate. What will it be running in a couple of years? Let's see. But I tell you where the savings are going to come from.
Now, hold on, just give me a number for how much indexing tax will cost the budget bottom line.
Well, it'll be what is necessary to alleviate those numbers that I just described
Angus
to you.
Taylor,
Sarah,
how do you restore
Sarah,
your economic credentials if you won't put a number
Sarah,
on
the number,
new policy that you're presenting?
The
to
number
Australian
will
people
depend
tonight?
on the inflation rates we see
What do you
closer to the
expect it to
election,
be?
and we will put our costings closer to the election. But I tell you one thing, Sarah.
Well, we've done some rough calculations on that. And
Well, if you want to give me advice on the numbers, go right
No,
ahead.
they're not my advice, but I'm asking you to confirm that this is correct. The number we've come up with is 20.5 billion over 4 years, growing very fast. In the fourth year, 11.8 billion. So 11.8 billion by 2030, a cost of $22.5 billion. Is that right?
So why did you need to ask me the question?
I wanted to know what number you came up with.
So we can argue about this all day, and we might have different. We might have different numbers. I think what matters is whether there are savings there to pay for it. That's the question.
Well,
and
how much it is matters to Angus Taylor.
It's true, but it will depend on the numbers you use and the inflation.
You are coming to the Australian people tonight to re-establish your position as the leader of a would-be government. Central to that are your economic credentials. That is the person that you have put forward tonight. So you can tell us how much it's going to be and how you're going to pay
And
for
I've
it.
told you again, it will depend on the inflation rate at the time. I don't know how many times I can say that to you.
It's a question of
and
trust.
then the question is this. How do you pay for it? And there's 4 areas we've been very clear about, and I was very clear about today. And this is the crucial point. Ending the corporate welfare that Labor has been pursuing. We've seen endless amounts of this with their National Reconstruction Fund, their so-called Future Made in Australia that's sending industry offshore, ending the housing bureaucracy, the Housing Australia Future Fund, ending the net zero bureaucracy, the climate bureaucry that this government has created.
You laid out all these elements in the speech tonight. We're at the time where we have to wrap. I note we don't have your numbers, but you've made some bold statements in your speech tonight. There'll be much discussion. I look forward to having you confirm.
You will get our numbers closer to the election, and that is the convention, and you know it.
Angus Taylor, thank you very much indeed.
Good to be with you.
In less than 12 months, One Nation has doubled its national primary vote. It now regularly outpolls the opposition, as I put to Angus Taylor a few moments ago, most strikingly, of course, in last week's Farrer by-election. According to One Nation leader Pauline Hanson, the competition has seen the coalition adopt One Nation's policy ideas.
Do you think he's just taking his policies from a One Nation?
Oh, I don't think I know he is. Even his housing, he's going to relate it back to housing. If you look at his housing policy, which he's saying, it brings you smack bang on the 130. I don't think I know.
All right. I mean, unless we want to keep watching.
No.
I think we've got all the key information.
Yeah,
There's nothing. I feel like I've just wasted like the most time ever in my life watching that.
His policies are like, she'll be right, mate. She'll be right, mate. Everything will work out.
Questions and just yelling out the vague statements and just wow phrases, but without any numbers to back anything up. And then the other time is just attacking Labor and just saying how bad they're doing without actually like saying what they're going to do. That's the other thing. Like, it's the only 2 things that they've done tonight. Oh my goodness.
Do you think any of his points are worthwhile?
Yeah, I think they are, but like the thing is, they got to answer like the questions. They got to get the numbers. Like, let's be real here. Like at the last election, the coalition released most of their costings 3 days before the election. Do you think the Australian public's going to be happy seeing that again? I mean, part of why they performed so badly is because people didn't know what they were voting for, really. Kind of like the voice referendum. They're right. The thing that they were trying to campaign against a few years ago, because that didn't have enough information.
Well, I think he's planning on just sort of winning on vibes alone, like
but
numbers.
That's not going to work. That's what the coalition
saying in
did
the
last
comments
year, and we saw what happened.
Numbers are kind of boring. Costings are boring, and I sort of agree with that.
Important.
That numbers. I mean,
because people see numbers and they're framed in the media, and then people act based on what they see. And if they just hear phrases, some people just don't think that's good enough.
He thinks Australia is spending too much on climate change and the Housing Australia Future Fund, and he's going to give all that money back in tax cuts. Meanwhile, he's going to cut immigration, and that's going to magically solve the housing crisis. That's sort of what he's going with, basically.
Yeah. I think the bracket creep's good. The indexation of like basically all taxes. Was it all tax or just income tax?
Yeah, but I think it's income tax. But I think that probably what's going to happen is before the next election, Jim Chalmers is going to come out with a big income tax policy himself.
I hope that there's something like that. I mean, I've just looked it up before because I didn't know if it was a common thing or not. So it's like the US, Canada, like most of the big countries use it. Not all, but like a lot. So I think it.
Use what? Sorry.
The income tax indexation.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Well, I think probably Labor's policies will just be, eventually, well, they should be, is like raising the tax-free threshold to a big number, say 30,000.
Yeah.
And then maybe raising some of the other tax brackets instead of the indexation thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, like it does restrict the government spending a lot if you do keep on indexing.
And that's probably what they're hoping for as well, as a Liberal Party, like to constrain things a bit more, and it would force the Labor or non-Liberal Party to repeal that.
Yeah, but like, do they actually care about spending? Like how much they spend? They don't care. Like during COVID,
they
like
just keep
they spent
borrowing.
like
I mean, that was COVID. That's an exception. But like, I mean,
but that's bullshit.
I know, but like the Labor would have done the same. Let's be real.
Okay, but yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Like, if they spent a lot during COVID, and they were already a high spending government before COVID too, like all throughout the terms. So it's not like the Liberal Party don't spend. They spend when it's convenient for them. It's just that they spend it on things that now they claim is a good idea. And don't forget that the Liberals brought in net zero for a start.
Yes.
So
now they've stayed with that. Which is probably one of the only things that have been consistent apart from nuclear energy.
They stayed with what? Sorry.
Repealing net zero.
I mean they brought in net zero, and now they're repealing it now. So that's inconsistent, right? Since when they were in government.
Yeah. What was it? They're repealing basically all the wealth tax introduced by Labor. If they get in.
Oh, you mean like the negative?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he didn't really talk about it that much.
But this is funny. Like they said, they got policies for like young people, and that the changes that they're going to make are going to help young people get in. But there was no real specific policy for young people.
Well, it's all immigration. They're saying immigration.
That's all, but it's not. It's not. And we discussed this in the last live stream in the budget earlier this week. The correlation between that and housing. And
I mean, they're basically, as somebody says in the comments, they're just hoping. Red Cow says. Owen Energy to transfer over to like the Liberal Party by scapegoating immigration as well, and they're just hoping they're going to get some of that One Nation vote back. They didn't give a very detailed nuclear policy. Yeah, well, that's toxic. It's toxic. Pun not intended.
I think the nuclear thing, I think it's going to be more of a state reform thing. We're already seeing that in New South Wales. It passed the upper house in repealing their bans for mining and stuff there.
Really?
And it's going to go to
the mining, the uranium mining,
which is important. I think that's that shouldn't be banned. Maybe power, like people can debate about that, but like mining, no.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would make sense if just their policy was removing the ban on nuclear, the federal ban.
Yeah, but that's what I'm being supportive of. But like people just go crazy when like you mention anything about doing anything with nuclear in this country.
Well, the idea that the left wing, they point out that it would cause it would create mixed messages to investment or some shit like that. Like,
I don't know what.
I mean, we live in a fucking free
people will
country.
invest in it if it works or not.
If people want to invest in it and it's safe, they should be able to. Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think that's really. I don't think that's a good argument. To not remove the ban.
Yeah.
So, I think some of these policies will be effective populism, but he has to have actually a sort of coherent sort of way to to pay for all this and actually a way to show that it's actually going to help. Like it's going to cost the Australian economy a lot of money if they're going to cut immigration by that much. And he doesn't want to say how he's going to do it.
It was probably going to be through income taxes, because if it's not wealth taxes, I mean, and company taxes, it's going to be through you.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, he wants to basically give income tax cuts. So, I mean, this is all fanciful.
That's the thing. So it's going to be
what they say and what they would actually deliver if they got in government is two completely different things. You can tell half the things he's saying they won't follow through with if they're in government. Exactly. I think that's the issue with the Liberal Party. They've lost a lot of trust from people, and And I think they've lost a lot of.
They just change. They're like the bipolar. They change every single day, and they can't really fix down on something and give full details on things nowadays. And right now, the party is just too concerned with what other people think of them. They're always looking over their shoulder. They're looking at the polls non-stop and trying to do something, and then look quickly to see if people reacted. It's like they've just got to stick to and do something, and then the results will flow through. People will recognise their work.
Well, I think people don't trust the Liberal Party anymore, and that's why
that as well. Because
putting...
I mean, look at the ScoMo decade, but like the coalition decade last year, that was cooked. Like things, it was the good times then because we didn't have many world events, but things just got progressively more worse as the years went on, until we hit COVID, which was just crazy.
I think a lot of the public just thinks we should give someone else a go, and Angus Taylor feels like just another Liberal. Like I know he's
just another Liberal.
He's putting forward some.
I mean, that's true. Like he's an NPC, non-playing character.
And he was literally the treasurer going into the last election too, so he's still got that stink of the Dutton opposition.
Yeah,
on
but
him,
he's still got the stink of like the Morrison era. Like,
and even he's got the stink of the Morrison
era politician.
He was literally I think the energy minister when net zero was brought in, or the environment minister or something.
Yeah, I know. It's
he
got a lot of baggage.
Like he was the architect of net zero, and now he's saying, "Oh, net zero bad. Everything to do with and everything we're doing to achieve net zero bad."
Yeah, I think in the 21st century is that with the Liberal Party, it's when they get new faces in, like, and especially we've seen this in Victoria where they're starting to poll all right. I mean, One Nation's like growing there, but when there's new faces, they just do better. It seems.
Is the Liberal Party going in the same direction as the UAP? Do you think the Liberal Party is going to die? What do you think?
Historically, in Australia, all the conservative side of politics has fractured. The Labor Party has also fractured, but that's always reunited with itself, and the Labor Party's always won out in those battles. I can see the Liberal Party reforming into a new thing. Might be that this party continue on in like some sort of rump party form. Or some, I mean, if it was if there's like a traffic light coalition, that would be cooked. Because I feel like the more that they subdivide each other into these smaller parties, the harder it is to be disciplined, and we saw that with the coalition breaking up twice.
Traffic light coalition. Well,
yeah, I'd say that, but like
if it's Liberals, Nationals, and One Nation, then that's blue, orange, and green. So
it's close enough. Close enough. Like just round it.
What would you even call that? Like blue, orange, and green coalition?
I don't know, but it's just let's just call it traffic light and alternative universe coalition. I just feel like that the more the party divides itself. I mean, you've got the Queensland Party, which is a weird hybrid. You've got Country Liberal. You've got Liberal, and then you have got Nationals and One Nation. Like it's just the more that they divide themselves, it's going to be harder to discipline themselves and form a cohesive platform.
Well, if they're anything like Canada, they'll end up like
I think
forming a new party.
Canada's like a whole different case, but they've just been successful in just reforming into one united party, the Conservative Party, instead of like Reform and Progressive Conservative. But I feel like the main big problem, there's two big problems with the coalition, the Liberal Party, I should say, just the Liberal Party right now. Number one is it's got a reputation that's choking it. It's got a glass reputation that's been smashed and shattered, and they've destroyed their entire credibility. Most people know what the Liberals are. It's a party for the 10%, and now it's getting 10% of the vote. And the other thing is just it's still a big tent party. This factional divide. The Andrew Hastie neo-mercantilists. Your more Trumpist elements. Then you got your moderates, which are getting really upset. Now the Conservatives are running the party, and then you got your Taylor, the softer Conservatives like Taylor, your old guards. This big tent nature of the Liberals is just, I think it's going to be the death of it. I just don't think it's a good thing for the party.
Yeah, well, they feel like they need to stick together. So I just asked ChatGPT what you can call it.
Don't trust ChatGPT. ChatGPT always gives you the aggregate, most common answer.
It gave me some pretty rubbish ideas, but the one that I think sticks out the most would be the tropical coalition, because blue as the water, orange the sand, and then green for like the palm trees. So I think that's probably the closest we're going to get to something that is worthwhile for those three parties.
But in terms of if the Liberal Party collapses and like there's a whole massive restructuring of the right. It's not really surprising. It's happened multiple times. Like it's just another.
I still think that
effort in that cycle.
Hastie is going to take over either before the election or just after.
Who knows?
I think.
It just depends if he's got enough appeal.
It depends how badly
I mean, he
Angus
burned
Taylor does.
himself really bad last year. Like that was just such a messy leadership fight, and just, I mean, even that car industry stunt video, like the media just took it and ran.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I still think he's okay. I think he lost a lot of supporters when he supported the hate speech legislation.
That as well. There was a multiple.
Well, I think people sort of have a short memory,
Now,
so maybe they'll.
and so he's just going in the shadows and just waiting for the right time.
Could we potentially get a centrist Liberal Party like the Liberal Democrats? I mean, we do
Yeah,
need.
That's the thing. Like, there's this political homeless in Australia, for like this centrist heel Turnbull moderate just party. But we just haven't got one, and I just feel like that there's not enough incentive for there to be one. Not necessarily the willpower. I mean, One Nation, that's willpower that they
I'm sort of disappointed. I've always been disappointed with the lack of options I feel like there is in Australia.
Well, the Democrats were like kind of that thing back in the day, but they were just in the Senate.
I was telling you about this earlier, that all the minor parties I think are rubbish in their own sort of
but this
way,
is the other thing as well. Like a lot of the minor parties, like in Australia, like they're like gyms franchises. You know, you got Pauline Hanson's One Nation. You've got like Bob Katter's like Katter's Australia Party, like, and you've got all these ones that are just so leader centric. And it's like,
but I think that's
leader
just
gets elected.
It's
and no
something
one
about
else.
the Australian culture where we can only really connect to a person and not sort of an idea.
Yeah,
for some reason,
like compared to like the US, UK, like like mostly Europe, like, and I mean you can even see it like in the party logos. Like they've actually got specially defined symbols. We've just got the Union Jack.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
And
it's
stars
disappointing.
like basic, we just there's a complete disconnect. There's so much more leader.
Well, the Democrats still exist, but as far as I know,
they're registered.
Their main thing is like feminism, like from what I can tell, like that's their main thing.
And also the thing is, they're fighting the space with the Greens. Like the Greens effectively replace them if you look at the timeline.
Yeah, and what makes I think all of these left of center minor parties toxic is that they're all extremely pro, like getting rid of all mining and gas, like future mining and gas
that as
projects.
well. Like it's just, and that just hurts their image of progress. Like I mean they're all for getting rid of those, like having no more future coal and gas. Exactly,
and
that's hurting their progress image. Like,
well, I think it comes across as a little bit what's the word unpragmatic, and that's where the Labor Party has that label of pragmatism. You know that these parties
they
can't
ditched
achieve.
their more ideological stuff after Whitlam, and
Well, I mean, look, I think it's an issue how long the Labor Party takes to do anything, but at the same time, it is important to have some sort of pragmatism, and I think if we can't even get away with doing a mining tax, like promising no future coal and gas, I think I think it's a bit too far for a sort of a centrist party like all these like Democrats and the Fusion Party and Sustainable Australia all like to claim that they're centrist, but.
Also, the other thing is just like if we get a centrist party, like what we've got right now with the Teals, they're basically liberal. They're like the right wing version of the Greens. Like they're very rich, wealthy electorates that are just way more socially progressive and and more climate conscious. Like very climate.
Well,
conscious.
they all have their different policies though.
Yeah.
Like there's
I know that.
I'm not saying you don't, Heath. Don't worry.
I know. Sorry.
But like. What I'm trying to say is that, like, I don't think they would be cohesive as a party because they all have their own opinions about everything. It's not exactly consistent with each other.
The worst person you know, 001. We need an Australian branch of the monster raving loony party. Kingmaker in the Senate. No. We need Count Binface. We need like all these meme candidates back. Like we're gonna go back to like 2012, was it? 2014. That was like, I think that was 2010 or 2014 where like Anthony Green was losing it like because the Senate tickets were just like insane.
Oh
like,
yeah,
the tablecloth.
Yeah, 2013. Yeah.
Oh, meme candidates are so good.
Well, we had the Sex Party. They were kind of like a protest party back in the day, and then Fiona Patton made Reason because she tried to take herself too seriously, and now she's legalized cannabis.
Yeah,
and I guess
there's one in
cannabis.
like WA, which is like registered as the Democratic Labor Party, but it's not, and it's a weird name.
Victoria, they won a seat last election, and the guy quit.
Yeah, no, but there's another DLP in like West Australia, which is actually a meme party, and then there's one that is the DLP. It's so weird.
Deadly Serious Party.
Serious Party.
Yeah, my idea of a joke party was crackers for daylight savings.
Yep.
You've seen that, yeah. I mean, sorry, crackers against daylight savings. My bad. I am not for daylight savings. I don't
Flynn
like
plays 6-5-1, and he expand the voter base to appeal to voters who don't necessarily fall into the wealthy class. Yeah, of course. And that's the problem, I think, with any new party. Like, because One Nation, as you see, like most of them are just like the Liberals. It's just basically the same voter demographic, older people. It's basically run by the same people as the Liberal Party. It's a bit more centralized, but yeah, it's the same. It's the same group, and it's the same with
every
these
group
tills as well. It's very similar. It's very rich people, some older people, some young.
Every group. I mean, because money is just so important in politics in Australia.
Of course.
That like every political group basically is there, like exists because of some sort of wealthy donor.
But like
for example,
it's so much more
Labor,
of an issue for like
unions.
any liberal or like smaller state political party, One Nation, Liberals. It's always been a problem. Well, Labor and like Greens less so. I mean, it's still
Labor
still
is
money,
for Labor. It's the unions,
of course, but like it's less so than like.
And then the Greens,
like,
it's usually like guilty rich people. I mean, it's sort of similar with the Teals too, but
yeah, but that's the problem. Like in Australian politics in general, is just how much money and just stuff being flushed through it compared to other places.
And I don't really agree with the South Australian model either. With
no, that's too much. That's the thing.
Well, I think it should be democracy dollars instead of public funding through votes, because
the person said we need each state to have a branch of the no self-government party. Now we need like separatist parties like for Tasmania and like Western Australia, because then like the country would be better without them.
I just want more choices, bro. Like there's not enough choices.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah,
I want more choices. The Greens don't do it for me. They don't get it. They don't do it for me.
You know what they say? Want more choices. You be the change. You make the.
No,
choices.
not me.
I got
too many
create more
skeletons in my closet.
choices. You be the
Maybe
candidate.
you instead. Maybe you instead.
Yeah,
not me. Not me.
I'll just stand in like the most safe electorate in the country, and I'll just get like one vote.
Well, if you get 4%, you get your deposit back. At
yeah,
least.
but good luck. It's like what 4,000? Like yeah, it's crazy. I know Michael Richmond. He's like in Wentworth. He like got like 1%. But so he didn't get like his deposit back, and that cost like a couple $1,000 plus campaign materials.
Well, that's the thing. Like with Labor, I'm a social democrat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's just like join Labor and change it from the inside. Like, I don't like it that we have like so limited choices when it comes to who we vote for. Like we have to sort of get on board with this giant party, which I mean, Labor really encapsulates like all the way from like socialist to like basically center right neolibs at this point. I don't think it's right to have such a big tent party as like the only choice. If you're within that political realm, I don't like that. And there's a lot of things I disagree with the Labor Party as well, in the way that they go about things. So,
well, I mean,
we have to be. Well, it depends how long One Nation's going to survive, right?
Yeah.
Like if One Nation dies before the next election, I'd say we're still in the same party system. But if they survive and they take 10 seats, then there you go, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like we're transitioning into a new party system. But like you said, it all depends on how One Nation goes. If they're gonna continue surviving beyond like 3 or 4 years, like this has to be like they have to last like at least a decade, like to be counted as like a new system. I've done like a timeline thing, and ever since 2004, I'm pretty sure I have to look at the chart again, is the last time that a major party won a majority in the Senate. And ever since then, obviously their primary votes tanked. Well, slowly. I think tank's a bit exaggerated. And obviously they've regressed in the Senate continually. And I mean, as we saw in like 2025, that was like the biggest blow to both parties, but especially for the coalition, of course. And I mean, with One Nation polling and the major parties in general just falling below the 30% primary vote margin, we can just see more and more minors, especially in the Senate and potentially more in the House. We could get up to 20 crossbenchers. We're at 15 now, which is the highest ever. If you exclude like before like 1922.
I feel like Chris Minns thinks he's doing like God's work really with what he's done since Bondi.
Yeah,
he thinks that
his popularity's rebounded back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with what he's done at all, but I think he thinks that what he's done is really popular.
Don't know how to say that name.
No party held majority
between
in
the
the
70s and 2004, there were
Yeah.
some majority governments, but very few. Most of them were held by the
Really?
Democrats and Democratic Labour. Yeah, I can get the timeline up. I've looked at every single year for the Senate and the House for this new video.
But like, surely no major party bloc had a majority until 2004, right?
No, the coalition, Howard got a majority in like 2000, 2004-ish.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Until 2004, nobody had a majority.
I'll go back to the chart and have a look. That is accurate because I looked through each election, each period.
Punter's politics guy. Look, I think Punter's politics is he's a much better like commentator. I don't know what you would call him. Commentator. I wouldn't call him a journalist. He's much better commentator than he would be a politician.
Yeah, and he's not even like the best anyways. Like it's a lot of just whinge merching. Look, he has brought the discussion regarding a gas tax back, which is great. I think he does a lot of good things in some areas, but like things like superannuation especially, and how he's gone about both the fuel crisis and the gas tax really annoys me. Which is why I don't like. They're the only bits of criticism I really have about him. Everything else.
What do you think? What do you think of Swollen Pickles, Mr. Clark?
I haven't watched him, but I've seen.
You haven't watched him?
I've seen Geordie smash him. Yeah. So the coalition had majority in the Senate in 1978.
Yeah, that's what this guy said. He said that nobody had a majority from the 70s.
I thought it was early 80s, but I'm corrected. But yeah, the last time we held majority overall was 2000.
Yeah, and that's because of the Democrats, and then they basically died in about 2004.
Yeah,
after the GST.
Yep, which is fun. I can actually get up the timeline if we all want to have a look at it in the stream. As a bit of a sneak peek for the video.
Yeah, well, I think compulsory voting has made people sort of apathetic enough that they don't want to make like a bunch of choices. They really only want to make they only really want to pick between a handful of parties, right? And we've gradually added in the Greens. I mean, they sort of just replaced the Democrats, really. And then now we're only adding in One Nation. So we've got to this point where basically we have 4 blocks, and I don't know if we're going to get. I mean, we also have that preferential voting system where we have single member winners, right? I don't know if we can really get that much more than 4 blocks when we have compulsory voting and single member winners. I don't know if we can really get much farther than that. Unfortunately. Like I feel politically homeless personally.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I feel like probably I'm most similar to the Greens, but I still have a lot of disagreements with them.
Yeah, let me just get up this timeline thing so I can show people. Before
I don't like MMP. I'm not going to go on a rant about that now, but I don't like MMP.
Yeah,
STV is better. I agree with Finn plays STV. STV in like sort of small, between 3 and 5 member regions, I think would be better, in my opinion.
No, so this is the timeline of Australian politics. Still making a video about it, but yeah, 5th party system all the way since the Democrats got in till now. But yeah, you can see that the Senate and the House, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, and the Democrats we were talking about before, which is very fun. Yeah, it's a very complex chart.
Yeah, it's a very nice chart. It's a very pretty chart.
Yep. Took quite a while because it's like and the history records also aren't super clear, so it took a long time.
It looks to be like a real big mess between about 1917 and then 1945, like World War II. Basically, that was like a huge mess. It looks like
so
in that period.
Yeah. So here, these are all like minor parties, so it's not really a massive split and stuff. But like the 1917 split with the Nationalist Labour. The Nationals in the Labour and the Labour Party, saw the formation of the Nationals with the Liberals, and then of course, you had a bunch of like more socialist elements. The Labour Party split off, and then we obviously saw the biggest split, the one in 1955, Democratic Labour, and then Lang Labour, all the way in the Great Depression. The Scullin government really cooked things. and they just got torn apart from all sides. And then, of course, we saw more Labour splits in the 1940s, laying again. And I argue that at the moment Gough Whitlam resigned from the Labour Party, that was the end of the old Labour Party, where they kind of ignored market forces and were very more they're more focused on other things, workers and other things. And ever since they've just become more market based and accepting of modern economics, and that's definitely helped them get into government. I've seen. This is obviously still ongoing with Albanese, but compare it to the past, where it's basically been dominated with very short stints of Labour. Can definitely see that there's been a substantial shift ever since Whitlam. Anyways,
I would say the Greens are firmly social democratic. They're not. I mean, I think democratic socialist, that term itself is a bit of a meme. It's very American. But even the democratic socialists in America are really just social democrats. They just call themselves that because they want to sort of like reclaim the word socialist, because it's going to be used against them anyway. I guess that's the reasoning why they do that.
Your Aussies, do you think we should make a Discord server? Like just all.
I don't know.
Instead of just one person, it's like all the political YouTubers here. Like
I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you why I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
It's because once you get a Discord server going, things get very toxic very quickly. Like you start,
admin and stuff.
Yeah, all of that stuff, moderating, and then like people's personal lives get dragged up, and there's all that stuff. Like it's too personally for me. It's just a bit too much stress. So that's why I've resisted doing that. Like I've had my YouTube has been going on for like 7 years, right? And there's been so many times where I'm like, oh, should I make a Discord server? But I've resisted the urge because it's just too much. It just gets too toxic. Yeah. I mean, it starts off with just some fun political discussion and maybe some memes. And then you get people sort of asking, like, oh, should that kind of content be allowed in here? And then like they start bringing up issues with other people. Like that person has done this, that person's done that. That's why I personally haven't done it. And it's why
You're going to get One Nation people in your server.
Well, I mean,
are they on like 4chan and stuff?
I'm nothing against One Nation people. I've nothing against One Nation people, but other people are definitely going to have an issue with the kinds of stuff that they say.
Like when two extremes meet, or it's like And
like it would be a mess. It's always a mess to moderate those Discord servers. So I'm very sort of I'm happy to just stick to making YouTube posts and just
we should like make like special chats in the Discord like server just to pit like Greens and One Nation against each other and see who wins.
Maybe you can make it the Discord server. I'll probably just stay a few steps back personally.
No, that's good.
Oh, with Discord tier test, yeah, well, that's right.
Yeah, terms of services, they're very strict. They just become dictators.
One Nation is way too old for 4chan too. Like One Nation, their primary demographic is in their 60s.
Real. So. But there's a lot of conservatives my age that like I know that are like the Christian nationalist pipeline is insane here, and there's just so many of them, like more than people realize. But like it's just a concentrated community, but they're very very dedicated.
So I have a question for you, Mr. Clark. This is getting into the interview portion.
More questions interviewing me.
If you do you think the Liberal Party people have sort of blacklisted you now? Like, if you try to hang out with them again, would they like?
Oh yeah. As soon as I left the Liberal Party, they basically cut ties with me. As soon as I wrote my memoir, little critical piece, I had a mate who was actually part of my media platform. And he basically got tapped on the shoulder there, unofficially. These are just there's no like official things to prove this and stuff. But like it was like you got to leave like this guy's platform. You got to basically cut contacts with Heath and stuff. Otherwise, it might be difficult to progress in the party. And, get in contact. It was almost like a Scientology thing, but obviously it was nowhere near as extreme.
And then you got like sort of barred from some conservative event at your university or something as well?
No. That was like that was just this year. Because I was just going to join to like just see people's thoughts and stuff. I do that. But yeah, those guys banned me for like just for criticizing Howard. I didn't do anything to them. But that was a separate thing. But no, the Liberals they blacklisted me, and I I ran some investigative stories on them afterwards and stuff. So basically, I don't really have any connections or don't really talk to many people in the party. Since I do have contacts to like a couple Liberal MPs and councillors, not many, and the contacts very little now. It was useful for getting sources and for some of my investigations, but no, they're all pretty much gone now. And that happens, I guess.
Yeah, I've never been involved in the Liberal Party. I just
I can give a little bit of a like a Q&A on how the Liberal Party operates, and what the vibes are there. And I've still got access to some documents.
I mean, I feel like I can sort of just tell like what it's going to be like.
If you've seen my video on like why I left the Liberal Party, it's mostly pretty self-explanatory.
I think I did watch that video, but I think it just felt like very like what I would have expected.
Yeah.
So I guess like it's all sort of just like everything's sort of blended together, you know.
But like the age demographic spot on to what people think. The party structure is all just symbolic.
Yeah.
Just like One Nation's is.
It's all the guys are like careerists in suits, just trying to.
Yep.
I mean, Labor's kind of like that too, but
but like it's more so Liberals, like it's even more cooked.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
there's actually working class and like average people like me still in the party, but like a lot of them just never get anywhere, and I know a few that still haven't got anywhere, and then I know others who like own a bunch of properties that have been flushed with their parents' monies and stuff, and parents who've tapped on politician shoulders to get jobs. You know, that's just how it works in the party. A lot of nepotism, a lot of favoritism.
It's the Liberal way. Yeah,
it is the Liberal way, and it's probably the worst party, worse than One Nation, worse than Labor in terms of all of this. It's literally the center of that culture in Australia is in that party.
Yeah, I mean that's
all that party will be, and I think Friendly Geordies was accurate when describing the party about a year or two ago. It's just a networking event. It's just networking. That's all it is.
Yeah, I remember when I was at university a couple of years ago, I wanted to go to a Liberal Party event, and I mean, to you guys maybe this seems really usual, but it was like a welcome event at the start of the year, and I wanted to go, and they were like charging me like $5 to get access to the networking event. I was like I'm like they really didn't want to tell me like about the event unless I paid like the money, right? And I thought it was just, you know, you meet people as part of the political party group, but I didn't know that I would have to like fork out $5 just to get entry.
Yeah,
like it's like some private part. Like I don't know. I just thought that was weird.
Do that with entry fees for any events. They put a price tag on it. I mean, when you look at Greens and Labor, they're all usually free.
Usually, I mean, Labor. I think once you get into it, you're supposed to sort of yeah. But at least for welcome events, right? I just think it's a bit odd that they were like that.
Yeah.
So, how well do you think South Australia and One Nation will do at the 2030 state election? About as well as this election, maybe a bit worse.
Yeah,
because
they'll just hang on and then maybe fizzle out long term.
That's a big question. You know, we don't know how long this One Nation stuff is going to last.
We've had this happen before, like with Queensland. They got like a massive amount of seats, and as quickly as they came, as quickly as they left. Literally, there was one election, and they got wiped. The next, they got like 4 or 5 seats up, and then they got wiped again after that and disappeared. Like, you know, and we've seen this with the Liberal Party. Like, you know, they've been entrenched for so long, you know, and now they've lost so many seats and a few in the like one in the Senate or something. Yeah, like there's no safe seats these days, and I think Andrew Wilkie was right in saying that. And I mean, with the rise of One Nation, the polls, what we saw in the Farah essay, like things are changing and like things are different nowadays. And I think voters are more informed and use their vote more effectively than what they did in the past.
But also people are more pissed off than ever as well.
Yes,
they want
of
change
course.
More than ever.
Yeah, and I think people are sick of the marketing.
I don't think. See, the problem is, like I think a lot of these populist sort of things that Angus Taylor, right? That's what he's going for, right? I think that they're good populist policies. I don't think they're good policies, but they're effectively populist, right? I just don't know if anyone can actually trust the Liberals anymore. Like anyone who's voting One Nation, I don't know if they'll come back to them.
You cannot trust them.
Sorry?
You cannot trust them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I don't like even if I agreed with his policy, with their policies, right? I don't actually trust them to, once they get into power, to implement any of them, because it's just it's too damaging to business to do all these things, especially cutting immigration. It's too damaging to business.
Exactly.
And the party, which is basically just the business council as a LARPing as a political party, like why would they actually get in and then actually cut immigration? Like, you talk about Labor lying and to get into power, but liberal, like, there's no liberals are obviously just going to do the same thing, right? Like, they're going to get in, they'll go like, oh, immigration, we can cut it a little bit, but it's too hard because it'll hurt the Australian economy, and then
well, that's the thing. Like, and Australia's been structured over the last 20 years of just effectively just importing people to support economic growth, along with this massive just hoarding of just useless asset classes that don't produce much for the economy, and then of course primary industries to fill in the gap of what we actually produce. So we've got this cooked nation that has just been growing and growing and growing, that's just become so distorted and lopsided, and that's all the Liberal Party's really achieved. Like, on paper, we've got great.
Well, they don't actually have any good ideas of how to change the country for the better. It's all
but, like,
just
on paper, like, there's been massive growth, but like, where is that going? Like, yes.
Yeah, I mean, international students, they bring in a lot of money. They also bring in cheap labor too, but that's sort of a secondary thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at the GST with what the coalition did with that in 2019. They did that basically to save themselves from the unlosable election from Labor, to save the West and to hold seats there to stop them gaining. And they successfully did that. And now, like, with that sacrifice, they've basically cooked the system of horizontal fiscal equalization to become just this whole different system. That's basically just giving everything to WA. Sorry to run off that.
Would you ever move to WA?
I said the WA video, yeah, it was a truth nuke, but apparently there is more to it than that. So there's going to be a part 2, which is awesome.
Would you ever move to WA, Mr. Clock?
No, and I think if I landed there, I would be arrested straight away for anti-Western rhetoric. And detained for not serving the interest of WA and Mr. Cook.
So I'm very curious to see what the totality index will be tomorrow. I'm keeping an eye on that every day.
And WA can just annex itself.
Perth will continue going up. Even if all the other states go down, Perth will continue going up in house price for a while, I think.
Flynn Plays said, I've noticed I seem to come across more minor right-wing parties forming than minor left-wing parties, especially on social media.
It's all old people. They love forming their own political parties.
Yeah. And it's just people who don't have anything to do.
Young people are too busy. They're either like too busy working or too busy smoking pot, doing other things to make political parties, or they're like me and they're terrified of, like, I don't know, getting cancelled or something by making a political party.
I think the only way you can be successful as a political party here in Australia is to basically get into the media and to get the message out and dominate the narrative. I mean, that's why.
Yeah, that sounds extremely scary.
But this is why One Nation took off and why it's here, because the media basically let them in. The coalition basically just sat still and let them talk. And they've just grown and got enough attention and they've just done stunts, outrage, gone on basically every podcast you can imagine in Australia, and no wonder they've just exploded and got up, because they've just drawn all that attention. It's just fed into that machine, which is just perpetuating now, and is just growing. And like you see, like Reform Australia and like these other parties that did form after the election, before the election, they're exactly where they are. Like UAP and other ones, they've just got nowhere, or they've just collapsed. And same with the Democrats. Same with the Democrats and others. It's all media. It's all just getting in there and just getting the message out.
Sorry to interrupt. I think the Teal MPs, I think the reason they're not really getting elected to state parliaments is that you need a lot of, like, sort of very focused voters to know who to vote for when it comes to the Teal MPs. And people sort of don't just pay enough attention to state politics because they just think it's like...
Except in Tassie.
Oh, you're right, because nobody has anything better to do in Tasmania than vote.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why.
And we did get some tills in Tasmanian Parliament.
You did, yeah, you're right,
George. And I think there's going to be other areas where you might see it, but it's just it's more of a federal thing most of the time.
The social Tories.
George just ran because he needed a seat to get in materialize just you because I mean the election was basically being held at a similar time, so like why not? You've got spare funding and core flutes and science, just do it. And he already had an established base, so I think he was a special case of that. Well, like any other Climate 200 candidates that are specifically funded for state elections are just going to have a much harder time, I think.
I'm sort of disappointed that Jared Rennick has kind of fallen off because I thought he was kind of an interesting character.
A little bit, like there was like
at last election
yeah,
he you know if there was a couple more seats in the Senate he maybe would have gotten the seat or something, you know, but
I saw him like
he's fallen off now.
Yeah, of course.
A bit disappointing.
Yeah. What do you think of the latest defection to the Labor Party? Tammy Tyrrell.
Well, we were discussing this earlier, but it's purely because she wants to retain a seat, and they probably offered her the third seat,
of course,
which is winnable. I mean, I think
she wouldn't have defected otherwise if she didn't get basically a guaranteed offer that she would be on the high part of the ticket.
So Max Anglo Election Insights thinks that One Nation are in the ballpark of getting 2 seats there. I agree with that, but I also think that it's going to be between One Nation and a third Labor. So, yeah, I think it's a better idea than just waiting to die by staying as an independent, and you know, she'll sacrifice her soul and join the Labor Party for that sweet.
Yeah, she says she's going to advocate inside the party, which I have no doubt that will occur. I'm sure that will happen, but once it comes to voting in Parliament, once it comes to voting in Parliament, there's no.
It's a different question.
There's no conscience vote with the Labor Party. They take your soul.
Yeah, that's right.
And yep.
The only ready to go minor party you can see is the Libertarians. Yeah, but they're sort of floundering. They're not really getting very
the
far.
Libertarian Party. They're just a meme.
Yeah.
They're a meme
party. And they also have their own
vibing in New South Wales Parliament, and they're only getting elected based on that popular individual. Was it John Ruddock?
Yeah, well, they're factional. The New South Wales faction is very different to the other factions. They're a lot
and that as well. Like it's just so wacky. It's almost like in Canada, like where you had like the Liberals in like British Columbia, but they were actually conservative. But like the federal Liberals were progressive. Like you might have like a similar thing like that, which is weird. I was surprised we didn't really see that with the Liberal Party here in Australia, compared like the Conservatives over there. Because like most of the Conservatives in Canada, like most of them are called progressive Conservative at the state level, and a lot of them are moderate. And then there's that weird other Liberal case for the federal Liberal Party.
You could argue the Tasmanian Liberals are moderate, right?
Yeah, but this is the thing. Like, the majority of the Tasmanian Liberals is actually conservative. They've made up the conservative faction. And also most in the Tasmanian Parliament are conservative or soft conservative, but they act as if they're moderate because their voter base is moderate. But they don't put candidates up that are moderate. It's weird. But that's how it's worked. And,
it's just the meme party.
I don't know why they do that, and why they don't just run moderates. But I think there's just enough heavyweight in that party, Dunniam and Abetz and a few others.
Thomas Muddo, you call CAP a meme party, but they've done better than most.
No, they're an actual party, to be honest.
Like they've had a couple of seats in the
Queensland,
and they've kept them too. Like they haven't lost them.
Yeah, they haven't disappeared. They've been around for ages. Just their problems are scaling to the next level. They're just Queensland focused.
They have an heir too, you know, like Robbie Catter is going to take over. I mean, he won't have the
same thing like Jackie Lambie Network. That was kind of a similar thing, but I mean, you can tell the difference there is just between.
Well, they've got an heir to the throne. You know, Robbie Catter will take over. Well, he's already taken over.
Yeah. And with Jackie Lambie Network, it was just way too decentralized, and then when she tried to rein it in for control, it didn't work.
Yeah, and she also doesn't really seem to have much of an ideology other than vaguely left, except
that's the thing. Like Jackie Lambie was even more big tent than what the Liberal is. So, and without real discipline, you know, like it's bound to happen. It will just fracture.
Well, yeah, I've no doubt that CAP stands for more than One Nation does.
Exactly,
no doubt about that. Yeah. So. Lambie is an enigma. Well, I think it's kind of ogre now for her. I don't think. She got re-elected and then she's probably
that was a very close race last year between Lee Hansen.
She's going to retire after.
Yeah, she said already that she's had enough. I think she said that she's not contesting next election or something like around those lines.
Yeah, well, she's got a 6-year term, and then after that, she'll probably call it.
Yeah, so this and
all of these minor right-wing parties seem to have similar policies. Well, that's the thing. I think they're
On
sort
paper.
of sorry.
On paper, on how they market themselves.
Well, I think a lot of them are sort of vanity projects, like
They're
oh,
test
I want,
subjects. Yeah.
and they have
They're test
slight
subjects.
disagreements on
Mm.
some core issues, and that
Yeah.
that makes them want to make their own parties enough. So,
And also, just leader centric-ism, whatever, like just this
Yeah.
obsession with this party leader just having their own party. I mean, we saw it with Clive Palmer, and Pauline Hanson, Jackie Lambie, all of them. It's just all these right-wing parties, all these minor parties. Most of the time, it's all about just the leader and the individual running that party. And that's the one thing that's just always going to cook them. While with the Greens, it's just incompetence and just symbolic actions which holds them back a lot of the time. Also, the other thing is just voter concentration as well. Or a lack of it, I should say. Because, I mean, even though, like, they say it's easier to get, like, in the Senate, that's not exactly. I mean, if you look at the Nationals and, like, some other parties, like, they get less than, like, 3 or 4% of the vote, but, like, get, like, so many seats. So many. So high voter concentration in like certain electorates can be actually better than contesting in the Senate. And I think this is just something that the parties just haven't really experimented with. They've just run a broad amount of candidates in multiple areas.
well, I have something to say to Mr. Finn Plays in the comments. Like all these right-wing minor parties haven't combined, right? But now One Nation is polling so well that they don't really need any of them.
Well, that's the thing.
But
they were the one that took off. They were the one that won the lottery ticket and won the attention game.
Pauline Hanson, if her party implodes, that's when there's going to be a big power vacuum.
Oh yeah. Well, the Liberals losing last election was a power vacuum. Yeah.
It depends what faction of the Libertarians Party and NATO Kalo, because as I said, the New South Wales faction is a lot more sort of nationalist and a little bit protectionist too. Well, when I say protectionist, I mean when it comes to
Interesting. For
immigration.
libertarian and protectionism doesn't really make sense.
Well, I mean, I think restricting immigration is a bit of a protectionist policy.
It is.
So.
That's the thing. Interfering with anything in regards to the movement of capital or people or anything is protectionism of one sort or another. For restricting immigration, that is workers' protectionism. That's something the Labor Party actually advocated for in 1901, all the way through to until White Australia basically got abolished. It was about protecting workers from foreign individuals, and for the Protectionist Party, it was about businesses, obviously. So yeah, fun fact, just to dive down that little rabbit hole. I would push back though on that these right-wing parties agree on everything, because if you actually look at One Nation's policies, it's not actually like the Liberal Party, and whereas like super laissez-faire and free trade. They've got a lot of protectionist policies and a lot of, dare I say, nationalist policies. They want to establish like a national bank that can be accessed or like through post offices and stuff, which is weird. And then they're not nationalizing water, but they're moving another step towards that. And they got a bunch of other policies here and there.
Yeah, well, I don't know about
the gas and the gas reserve that the
coalition stole. What they say and what they actually do.
The gas reserve was stolen by the coalition, and then Labor stole that from them.
I think what they say and what they actually do is two different things.
Well, that's the thing. They vote like 70% or 80% of the time with the Liberals.
If they got into power, then likely their rich mates will be tapping them on the back and saying,
exactly, and that's what's happened.
You can't do this. It's too much government intervention.
Even the Labor Party has that happen to them.
And even what's his name? What's the guy from New England called? Barnaby Joyce.
Barnaby Joyce.
Do you remember that social media post where he's like, "Oh, I'm sick of the government being involved in my life." Like, literally, they have these big government policies. Like it's not very consistent.
But then they won't vote on it when they get in there. And I think this is what One Nation's going to do. They're basically going to be like Coles and Woolies with the fake discounts. They're just going to mislead the public and just do false marketing.
They're just going to be another Liberal party
because it's not illegal.
They're just another Liberal party. Like it's the same. They're orange Tories,
But
essentially.
they're worse. They're
the
worse than the
nation.
Liberal Party because, one, they're too extreme, but also leadership is more centralised than the Liberal Party. I mean, sure, a lot of things were predetermined in the Liberal Party, like votes, a lot of them are shams and stuff, but there's actually more... There's actually voting and, like, a more democratic process. But, like, with One Nation, Pauline's basically entrenched in that party's constitution. And it's like, it's become like this hereditary thing where...
Oh, well, I still put One Nation before Liberals because it would be funny if they got into
Yeah,
power.
it's funny, yeah. Oh, just do it. No, do it for the chaos because that's fun. Chaos is fun.
Hanson used to be a member of the Queensland Liberals. Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, obviously. Well, especially got in like...
Right. Oh, are there any right-wing Muslim parties? You talk about RV Yemeni's new front.
Oh, yeah, RV Yemeni's like pro-Palestine party or whatever it is.
Yeah, pro-Palestine, and then he's making like a Muslim Votes Matter party as well on top of that. So.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
Like an India for Australia party or whatever.
Yeah, his speech was very boring. I kept on yawning during it.
Oh man, it was so cooked, and there was just no detail again. Like it was just running around the questions, and then in his actual speech, there was no real detail on the numbers and stuff. Like Chalmers, basically every policy they announced, they had like a number and a solid figure to back that up with. You know, they're building X amount of houses and stuff. X amount of people have this benefit or whatever. Like with Angus, it was like, no, not even like people who they think would be benefiting from this. Like, it was just really nothing.
All right, do we want to wrap this up, Mr. Heath?
Up to you, man. I can answer a couple more questions from the comments. But we'll probably wrap up.
Well, I'll let you do that. I'll be right back. So I'm gonna
okay.
get a drink.
So the worst person you know, Australian Christians. I was actually in the Liberal Party talking about this, about there being, because there's the Christians are another divide in the Liberal Party that no one talks about. It's always Protestants versus Catholics. I was technically on the Catholic side, but there's always this talk about there being a Christian party, and one of the Liberal candidates at a Christian conference I was at was talking about how they shouldn't have a specific Christian party, and the Liberal Party being a Christian party, and I don't think that's a good thing for Australia or for Christians in general. I think they should go through these parties and operate within them and try to do the best through them rather than having their own party. That's what I believe. That's what this guy believed. I just don't think Christian parties would be really effective either by themselves. Nook and Cranny's disagreeing. Okay, I think, but I do think it's better that they can operate through through parties, because I think that's where they can change the most things rather than just being a Christian party. I mean, you see it in Germany. You don't see much there in terms of reform.
%, agree. Aussie elect. I wasn't even here. What are you agreeing to?
I'm not Aussies elect. Also, the Labor Party was quite historically Catholic. There was also a Protestant divide earlier on in the 1920s. Fun facts.
Yeah, this is Heath.
Yeah.
Other guy's Heath. I'm the Aussies elect.
Is this guy from your channel?
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. It's fine. I don't have a camera on, so you can't tell. Don't know if anyone else has any other questions. Otherwise, I'm happy to wrap up this stream. So get your last questions in very quickly.
Yeah, we'll be going for 2 hours.
Yeah. Thanks, NATO Color Gaming. Do you have any last? NATO's where if there's 6 or 7 parties.
Anyway, that's a hypothetical video.
Hey, 6, 7, It's
that's
why you wanted me to say that. I just realized as soon as I said it.
Yeah, one of us will probably stream for the Stafford by-election. We're getting sort of bullied into doing it by Max and.
Yeah, we're getting blackmailed into doing. We're forced to do the Stafford by-election. Help us. No, I think it would be good. Probably more interesting than this for sure. Yeah, tonight, like it is interesting. I think we learnt more, and like we probably achieved more discussion in this comment section than Angus Taylor's speech. That says a lot, eh? That says a lot.
Well, thanks for inviting me for this tonight.
Oh,
It's
good.
been fun.
Yeah, it's been good. Thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it, and be sure to subscribe to Aussies Elect. He also makes a bunch of cool content. And yeah, we'll be back again to do the Stafford by-election on the weekend. So yeah, awesome.
Bye, everyone.
See you around, guys. Have a good one.
Yes, there will be a stream for Victoria.
Yep. Au revoir.